The Aggies on KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Logan Extermination. Some Utahns have figured out how to skirt the mandatory emissions requirements for their vehicles. There is evidence that residents from outside of Box Elder County are registering their cars there to avoid having the emission test done every 2 years. A recent audit was performed by the Utah Department of Motor Vehicles and presented to Box Elder County commissioners. The auditors estimated the county is losing almost $190,000 a year from emission dodgers. In Utah, the law requires all licensed Utah auto dealers to assure vehicles they sell to residents of Cache, Davis, Salt Lake, Utah, or Weber counties meet emission testing requirements prior to issuing a temporary permit. Shirlene Larson, the Box Elder County auditor, said people come in to register their cars and give false addresses. By law, they cannot ask people to verify where they live, and they can't look them up to check if they're being truthful or not. Using the estimates, the county leaders figured 18% of the vehicles registered in Box Elder County were actually from outside of the county. Idaho also does not do emissions testing, but it's harder to register a vehicle from out of state. Rhonda Gregerson from the Franklin County DMV said there are quite a few people that register their cars here, especially farmers who have land here and register their vehicles in Idaho. Cache County adopted the vehicle emissions and maintenance program signed by Bear River Board of Health Director Lloyd Berenson and Cache County attorney at the time, James Swink, on May 19, 2013. It was updated a couple times since then. KVNU News Time is 5:05. KVNU weather for tonight. Increasing clouds, low in the low 30s, and then rain developing tomorrow, especially between 9 a.m. and noon. High temperature in the low 40s. A chance of rain Tuesday night, then rain and snow late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and a chance of snow early Wednesday morning. New snow accumulation of less than half inch possible. And then 30% chance of snow Wednesday afternoon. Little or no snow accumulation expected. High in the upper 30s. 55 has been our high. It's 51 right now at KVNU. Roof Rescue is dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry from minor repairs to complete roof replacement. It's watertight peace of mind that they offer. RoofRescueUSA.com. Call 435-999-4268.
Hi there. We're new neighbors, the Vols. I'm Horrible, and this is my wife, Terrible. Hi! It was such a warm winter, we got to have an army of children. Now we're all fixing up to tear up your yard. The only warning sign of us is some surface tunneling holes, and then boom! Yard death. What do you think? Should we get started, Ma? Yep. These guys aren't going to call the troops at Logan Extermination. Voles are a problem. We're going to tear up your lawn and garden, and there's nothing you can do.
Voles are a problem, but there is something you can do. Call Logan Extermination at 752-8450.
KVNU News Time is 5:06. Raymond S. Uno, the first minority judge in Utah history, has died at age 93. Before becoming a judge in Utah's 3rd District Court, Uno served as a deputy Salt Lake County attorney, assistant Utah Attorney General, and practiced in a private law firm. Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes wrote following Uno's passing, saying Judge Uno was larger than life. His smile filled a room. While he was soft-spoken, caring, and humble, he had a gravitas born of forceful conviction and indomitable will. His humor and humanity will be greatly missed. Uno was a civil rights activist whose Japanese-American family was forced into an internment camp following the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. And a 12-year-old may face charges after she led the Utah Highway Patrol troopers on a chase along I-15 in her mother's car. UHP officials did not publicly identify the juvenile or what potential offenses she would be charged with, but reported that just after 11:30 Thursday night, police officers were notified of a reckless driver spotted on the highway near 2300 North in North Salt Lake. A trooper responded and found the black Honda Civic drifting in and out of the HOV lane and driving with no headlights on. A pursuit was initiated near 4500 South when the driver did not pull over for the trooper and continued south on I-15 with speeds between 40 and 70 miles per hour. Other troopers also helped while the chase was in motion, slowing surrounding traffic and setting up spikes near 9400 South in Sandy. Even though the spike strips were deployed, UHP reported it was unclear if they were immediately successful in deflating the tires of the Civic. Eventually, the car slowed down to speeds of about 40 miles per hour, and troopers performed a pit maneuver, bringing the car to a stop at 10400 South in Sandy. When troopers moved in to take the driver into custody, they discovered she was a 12-year-old girl who had taken her mom's car without her knowing. UHP reported the 12-year-old was taken to a nearby office and later returned to the custody of her parents. Charges will be screened through juvenile court. KVNU News Time is 5:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Hi, Cache Valley. Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden. I enjoy giving advice about yard and garden care. In fact, some people even consider me to be their personal garden Google. Spring is finally here, and now's the best time for bare root plants. We have fruit trees like apples, pears, nectarines, and small fruits like raspberries, strawberries, grapes, and even blueberries. Anderson's bare root sale is right now. The bare root tree sale doesn't last long. Get the best selection before they're gone at Anderson Seed and Garden, 69 West Center in Logan.
Guess which energy source is truly the cleanest for the environment, is affordable, abundant, and is ready right now to do what all the other clean energy sources hope to do someday? It's propane. Yes, propane. To learn more about what propane can do for you, check out the State of Energy right here, Saturday mornings at 6:30. Also, the propane industry is set to grow by $50 billion over the next 5 years. Go to findapropanejob.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
There's a place to share gossip about the office party fun, and a place to share the story you tell everyone. There's a place to share a laugh about when things went wrong, and a place to share the video of you dancing to your song. There's a place to share spare change, lunch, and your time. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. This was a listener-requested thing, and what a smart request. I can't believe I've never thought to do this before. And I'll run through them fast because if you're like me, my brain tunes out when someone starts listing things to me. So I'll run through it quickly. But a listener said... great interviews with candidates and understand that they can't always be done for the same races, same day, and things like that. We try, but it's not always possible. But a listener said, have you ever just given everybody some warning and then just listed the candidates? And I thought, what a great idea. So I'm going to run through the county candidates and school board candidates really quick. Because these are names that you're going to be hearing on our show as close together as possible for the races they're running in. But again, not always possible to have all the candidates same day. Tomorrow we'll kick things off here with candidate spotlights on 2 of 4 county auditor candidates. There are 3 candidates for county clerk, with the current clerk not filing for re-election. We have county council seats up. So it just goes on and on. So let me rule these out first. Cache County Assessor Brett Robinson, candidate, has no opponent. And County Treasurer Craig McAllister, incumbent, running to fill that seat again, no opponent. And Cache County Recorder, it's Neil Johnson, no opponent. So those races are, for the most part, decided. Well, they are decided. But there are candidates in every other race making it a competition. So we'll just go through them really quick. For Cache County Attorney, you have Cameron Cox and Kay Taylor Sorensen. For County Auditor, again, we'll start with these interviews tomorrow. You have running for that new, just separated from the clerk's office, County Auditor position, Dirk Anderson, Brittany Kingston, Diana Schaefer, and Matthew Funk. For County Clerk, 3 candidates, Bryson Bam, Roger Anderson, and Sebastian Liu. For County Council Seat 1, you have Carl Ward facing off against Keegan Garrity. For County Council Seat 2, the Logan seat, roughly, if you're not familiar with that, you have Barbara Tidwell, who is being challenged as the incumbent in that race by Allison Goules. I hope I pronounced that right. For Cache County Council North District, David Erickson, incumbent in that race, is being challenged by John David Jorgensen. And Mike Monson was in that race but dropped out. And then Cache County Council South District, you have Devron Anderson and Nolan Gunnell squaring off in that race. For Cache County School Board, you have for Districts 1, 3, 5, and 6, unchallenged names here. Brian Chambers, Jeff Nilsson, Alan Grunig, and Kathy Christensen. And they will fill those seats. Logan School Board, same thing, District 2, 1, 4, and 4. You have Patrick Jenkins, Becky Quay, Katie Chapman, Frank Stewart, and they do not have challengers in those races for those various districts. For the Cache Water District at-large seat, you do have 2 folks squaring off for that at-large seat, Jared Clausen and Brett Roper. And Cache Water District Board from Logan, Jeannie Simmons, filling that Logan 2 seat on the district board, and she is unchallenged. She will serve on that board again. And Cache Water District 1, also in Logan, Jeff Ostermiller, unchallenged, will serve again. And Cache Water District Board North District, Max Pierce has filed in that race. And also unchallenged will serve in that seat. So there you have it. And these are just the county candidates. We didn't get to state legislature. We didn't get to Congress, United States Senate. We've got AG. We've got the governor's race. So we're going to try to get to everybody slowly but surely as things play out. But again, those are your list of county candidates for everything from county clerk to council, various council seats, to the Cache County School Board. And again, we'll kick off candidate spotlights tomorrow here on the show with candidates for Cache County Auditor. This is a old but new position. First time it's been an elected position standalone. It's always been Cache County Clerk and Auditor. Well, the County Council decided to separate the auditor position out into a separate office from the clerk's office. I think that's a smart decision. And 4 people will square off for that first ever elected Cache County Auditor, independent from the clerk's office. And again, those candidates are Dirk Anderson, Brittany Kingston, Diana Schaefer, and Matthew Funk. And we'll start spotlighting those county auditor candidates tomorrow on the program. So great suggestion from a listener. I don't think I've ever done that on the show, but listener said, have you ever just listed candidates for people to hear? Also, at any point, if you weren't taking notes during that segment, you can visit cachecounty.org, which, by the way, the county website just got a much overdue and welcome update. It is so much more usable now. A lot of the data that you might be looking for actually displays on the page. For example, when you go to the elections section, I think this is so cool. When you go to the election section on cashcounty.org, it's much easier to find the candidates and contact information for them and filing documents and financial documents when they have to file them. But also, it has some interesting stuff on the sidebar about registration data here in Cache County and things like that. So hats off to Cache County for the update to the website. Again, long overdue and a welcome thing to see there. But I actually wanted to highlight this a little bit because it is interesting to me. This, if you want to go at any point, visit vote.utah.gov and look over the state data on elections. You'll see every single time that the largest group of registered voters in Utah are unaffiliated. Then second to that, that's about 900,000. Second to that, you've got about 800,000-ish plus registered as Republican, and you've got about 300,000 registered voters registered as Democrats, and then tens of thousands here and there on those registered in other parties. Third parties and things like that. So that's how the state breaks down. But this, from the Cache County voter registration, this is interesting to me. So you have here in Cache County, not like the state where the largest share of registered voters are unaffiliated. In Cache County, the largest share by far are Republican. Nearly 40,000 registered voters in Cache County are Republican. That is of a total of about roughly 70,000 registered voters total. And how this breaks down, you have for Republican registrations 39,521. Unaffiliated voters, second place, 18,609. Registered Democrats, third place at 6,034. Then in fourth place, you have Independent American registered voters, 1,963. Then fifth place, you have the Libertarian Party, about 800 Cache Valley residents registered as Libertarian, about 300 Cache Valley residents registered for the Constitution Party, and then United Utah Party. This is a third party started by longtime political activists here in Utah. Says Republicans and Democrats have both gotten too extreme, and they should this third party should rule. And 84 Cache Valley residents agree with that. So not going so well for them. No Labels. This is a nationally known for. I mean, they're not new third party. John Huntsman even dabbled with running as one of their candidates once. 65 Cache Valley residents are fans of No Labels. That's very encouraging. I think they're a spoiler org. And then Utah Forward. This is I forget his name now. Andrew Yang, who ran for president last go round. He has just been determined to keep his name in the spotlight somehow. So he started a third party called Utah Forward. He called it Forward, the Forward Party, and then every state they have a chapter. And so in Utah, it's called Utah Forward. 4 Cache Valley residents are registered with the Forward Utah Party. So bang up job, Andrew Yang, I guess. Interesting stuff, though, and I'm curious why the flip of the script there. So again, statewide, unaffiliated voters are the largest registered voting bloc. About 900,000 voters, with Republican voters registered at about 800,000 of those statewide. But here in Cache Valley, kind of the opposite. Republicans at 39,000 plus, and unaffiliated a distant second place at 18,000 plus. And then Democrats a distant third place at 6,034. I'm curious why that would be, why the voter affiliation is a bit different here in Cache Valley than the statewide numbers. But I can only speculate. I have no idea. But that's something I didn't know. So thanks to the folks who revamped the Cache County website. CacheCounty.gov is the site now. You can still get to that through CacheCounty.org. It redirects, and a flashy new site for Cache County. We'll be back right after this.
Spring will get here, and when it does, those old rusted-out vehicles need to be moved. Call DD Auto and Salvage and let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204 today. See store for details.
Hello, I'm Ashley Nate, Operations Manager at Cache Valley Bank. My calm and caring personality combined with my quick problem-solving skills help me provide my customers with the personalized attention and exceptional service they deserve. And I look forward to providing you with that same experience. Come visit the Preston branch and ask for Ashley, or give me a call to see what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. I look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Beaver Mountain season passes for the 24-25 season go on sale Tuesday, March 12th. Same pricing and pass options as this season, with early sale pricing running through April 15th. Kids 5 and under only ski free if they sign up by November 30th and are issued a season pass card. Go to skithebeav.com or call 753-0921 for more information, including a payment plan and pass insurance. Season passes can always be purchased or renewed online at skithebeav.com, at the Logan office, or at the Mountain. Sale ends April 15th.
I should have asked for some production on this, Bill. So, emissions dodgers. Now, I shouldn't make light of this, honestly, because it is kind of serious. And I kind of bristle at stories like this, like I did one I saw a year ago on a lot of construction companies and gravel haulers that are registering all of their trailers outside of Utah because the safety inspections are a little more slack and the fees are lower, and so they register all their trucks are registered in Utah because they're doing business in Utah, but all of their trailers, you'll notice, Idaho plates, and it's to save money. And again, the safety inspection regulations in Idaho are a little more lax, and I don't think that's a good thing when you're hauling gravel, to be lax about safety inspections. But so that one kind of bugs me. It's just sort of it just seems wrong. It's not illegal, and I'm not really saying it should be. I don't think it should be, but it definitely seems wrong. This is kind of right in that same ballpark, though I think we should be a little more understanding of this, because I've heard some stories recently about folks struggling with these due to their financial situation, and so we should be careful about judging.
Well, and these catalytic converters fail in cars,
and they're extremely not cheap.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean they go. The transmission lasts longer and everything else, but these I don't know. I've had lots of problems with cat converters.
You can see why people are doing this. Now, as far as I know, this is actually against the law. It's just very difficult to enforce. But a recent audit that was performed by Utah Department of Motor Vehicles, Bill mentioned this in the news. This audit was presented to Box Elder County commissioners, not Cache County. But basically, what the audit said to Box Elder County commissioners is, "Hey, you've got a lot of folks from Cache County registering their cars here with fake addresses to avoid emissions laws or emissions testing in Cache County." And the auditors estimated that the county is losing almost $190,000 a year from these emissions dodgers, as they're labeled by the audit. Utah law requires all licensed Utah auto dealers to assure vehicles they sell to residents of Cache, Davis, Salt Lake, Utah, and Weber counties meet emissions testing requirements prior to issuing even a temporary permit. But Box Elder County Auditor Shirlene Larson said people come in to register their cars and give false addresses, and by state law, we can't ask people to verify their address. We can't look them up to check if they're being truthful or not. So this audit from the auditor's office, state auditor's office, looking at they were basically commissioned by the Utah Department of Motor Vehicles to do this, the state auditor's office. They're looking at county numbers and registrations and comparing it with census data, and the estimation is there are about 14,000 registrations where the auditing thought this was happening, that they were registered in counties where the person who owned the vehicle didn't actually live. And so using those estimates, Box Elder County leaders figured 18% of the vehicles registered in Box Elder County were actually from outside of the county. 18%. So during a meeting, the Box Elder County's management committee and others with the state DMV representatives there as well, they discussed the cost of the DMV to county and issues with registration fraud. And again, that is a thing here in Utah. Registration fraud is on the books, and you're committing that if you give a false address. But they're talking about what to do about this, though. The state so far has agreed to at least review some sort of reimbursement transaction to solve the problem immediately. Interestingly enough, the audit did kind of confirm what we already know, that this isn't happening out of state. People here in Cache County aren't driving to Idaho to register their cars. That's actually very hard to do, and you're breaking different laws and more serious laws doing that. So to register your car in Idaho, you have to have a proof of address and a picture ID that matches it. So a lot easier to do. But it's apparently a thing here in northern Utah where again, the audit guessed estimated that about 18% of Box Elder County vehicle registrations are from people who don't live there. Most of them probably
that's almost
from
1 in
Cache
5.
County. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. So we'll see where this goes. Full story at CacheValleyDaily.com. And if you want to see the audit, there is a link there as well. And we'll be back with more of For the People after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:30, and the news is brought to you by Franklin County Medical Center. Utah's new flag was celebrated by elected officials and community members as a huge version was unfurled at the state capitol on Saturday. The event commemorated Utah Flag Day and involved a ceremonial flag raising conducted by Military Color Guard. Organizers also displayed a never-before-seen 30 by 60-foot beehive flag. Utah's Capitol Preservation Board announced a new exhibit entitled Unfurling the Story of Utah State Flag, which is displayed on the first floor inside the Capitol building's East Wing. Governor Cox was among local leaders who attended and made statements at the event. He approved the new state flag during the 2023 legislative session, despite some public disagreement regarding the changed design. 3 people died after a crash on Mountain View Corridor in West Valley City near the 3500 South intersection Friday evening. The crash involving multiple vehicles was reported around 8:45 p.m. on the southbound lanes of the highway. All directions of traffic were shut down near the 3500 South intersection for some time during the investigation. Now, the crash involved just one vehicle rolling. All 3 killed in the crash were in the same vehicle. And the roommate of 2 missing men in southern Utah has been arrested in a case which officials are now investigating as a homicide. Deputies with the San Juan County Sheriff's Office arrested 35-year-old Charles Yu and charged him with a second-degree felony of obstruction of justice. 29-year-old William Bull and 28-year-old Christopher Owens were last heard from on February 26th in the Blanding area. A search warrant was served on their residence on Friday, where officials said all 3 men lived. Yu, who is the owner of the home, was reportedly arrested afterwards. Deputies said the case has become a homicide investigation due to evidence collected at the residence, interviews with Yu, and a lack of proof of life from Bull and Owens. They reported that Bolin Owens had been driving back from Moab on February 25th, and surveillance footage from a gas station in Blanding confirmed their safe return from the trip. According to arresting documents, Yu claimed he last saw Bolin Owens on the morning of February 26th. He told law enforcement that the two men left in a black Dodge, but did not provide any other details that would have been apparent to someone with basic knowledge of a vehicle. Officials added that Yu's main occupation is a vehicle mechanic. Yu had traveled on March 1st, but turned off his shared data location while he was away. Detectives were able to figure out where Yu had gone while he was away, however, when they interviewed him. They said Yu did not provide correct information. Court documents stated that Yu is a former military veteran with a large gun collection. In February, he allegedly claimed that one of his guns had gone missing, but he did not report it to law enforcement. It was not specified whether this gun had been recovered. KVNU News Time is 5:33.
In today's game, the momentum will shift when one team goes on a run. A run. Like the diaper run you made last night? If you're thinking of getting a vasectomy, the healthcare teams at Franklin County Medical Center in Preston are ready. A vasectomy is a highly effective form of contraception. It's a simple procedure with a short recovery time, and a vasectomy means less stress for family planning. Talk to the experts at Franklin County Medical Center in Preston about your vasectomy. Start by visiting fcmc.org today.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. President Biden hitting his rival Donald Trump over comments today to CNBC about Social Security and Medicare.
There is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting.
Saying it'll strengthen Social Security and Medicare and lower medical and other costs, a plan released by White House Budget Director Shalanda Young.
It does this by expanding and protecting access to health care, supporting America's workforce, and boosting manufacturing.
An emergency meeting in Jamaica about the gang violence threatening to topple Haiti's government. Central American reps and the U.S. Secretary of State are there, asking the head gang leader, what if the acting prime minister steps down? ABC's Matt Rivers.
Indeed, he says, if Henri resigns, we will automatically stop the attacks.
In the shooting and wounding of 8 teenagers at a bus stop near a Philadelphia high school last Wednesday, 2 arrests. Both are 18, according to Philadelphia police. This is ABC News.
Increasing clouds tonight, chance of rain tomorrow. It was 55 today. It's 50 right now at KBNU.
American energy is under attack. Joe Biden has waged a war on American natural resources and made it harder to produce affordable, reliable, and clean energy right here in Utah. Our energy prices are already going up. Biden's policies will make it worse. But Republican John Curtis has our back. There is no greater supporter of unleashing American energy than John Curtis. John Curtis knows our abundant natural resources help keep us free and safe, powers our economy, keeps the lights on, and keeps Utah on the move. John Curtis is Utah tough. He's taken the fight to Joe Biden and the Washington politicians who all want to hurt American energy. And now we need a conservative to take the fight to the United States Senate. We need Republican John Curtis, a strong defender of American energy dominance in the fight for us.
Paid for by Clear Path Action Fund. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. As campaigns get underway now that the legislative session is over and done with, it is time for you to start paying attention. There will be GOP primaries. There will be a statewide convention in which delegates will get to vote. There will be a traditional balloted primary, I predict, in most of these races. We have statewide, we have a very popular race and populated race for United States Senate. On the Republican side, they'll narrow it down to their candidates, both at convention and in, I predict, a balloted primary. Well, I don't have to predict it. They're gathering signatures, so there will be a balloted primary on that. And also the gubernatorial race, same thing there. We have local races, candidates running for everything from the new position, county auditor. That's a new position, separated the auditor position out from the county clerk position. We'll also have probably some news on the county clerk's office as well. Just a lot of candidates to get to, so we're going to start focusing on them. Tomorrow on the show, we'll speak with Matt Funk, a candidate for the new old auditor position. Again, it's not a new position itself, but it's the first time it's been a separately elected position from the county clerk and auditor. Now it's just Cache County Clerk and Cache County Auditor. So there are candidates vying for that spot. Matt Funk will be the first of our spotlights on those candidates tomorrow on the program. And, of course, the Attorney General's race. This one has been just clouded in controversy, because not the race itself, but the Attorney General's office, with Sean Reyes, current AG, saying that he's not going to run for re-election. He was under pressure to resign, actually, from the legislature, and he said he's not going to resign early, but he will serve out this year, the end of his term, and not run for re-election. That comes amidst the scandal around Operation Underground Railroad and Tim Ballard and Sean Reyes' ties to that. Just last week, there was a news story that he had texted Tim Ballard and encouraged him to sue a state lawmaker for calling Operation Underground Railroad a, quote, criminal organization, which last year at least was a fair thing to say. They've changed leadership and, of course, given Tim Ballard the boot at this point. He's no longer involved with Operation Underground Railroad. But last year it was a fair thing to say, and texts that were part of a public records request from the Salt Lake Tribune in a story published just last week show Sean Reyes was encouraging Tim Ballard to sue for defamation, which it wasn't. Anyway, it's weird. Sean Reyes out. He'll serve to the end of the year, and that means this is technically an open race, and we had a chance to speak with former statewide GOP chair Derek Brown, who has thrown his hat in the ring, with Sean Reyes saying he's out and not going to run for re-election. That was not supposed to happen. With Sean Reyes out and not running for re-election, the next question is, what happens next? And we have a bit of a clue as to what might happen next, with one individual having thrown their hat in the ring to run as a candidate for Utah Attorney General in what will be one of the, I think, most closely watched races of 2024 here in Utah. And that person is former chair of the Utah Republican Party, and I dare say one of my favorite guests here on the show over the years, Derek Brown. And Derek, appreciate taking some time to join us here, especially on short notice. This announcement is very fresh. I was texting with some of your assistants there just right up until showtime today. We managed to make it work, so thank you.
Hey, well, it's good to be with you. Thanks for fitting me in. It's been kind of a crazy day, but when you announce a campaign, that's how it goes. That's right.
And this has been a race that, understandably, even though it won't really get underway until next spring, is already getting some attention with things that have been in the headlines, with rumors in legislative circles about changing the way attorney generals are elected versus a state senator saying let's appoint them instead. All of this a response to what has been a tumultuous time for the Attorney General's office. And first off, if elected, you'd be stepping into that situation, right? You would be, I would assume, expected by legislative leaders and the governor's office and others to make a difference there, right?
Absolutely. And one of the roles is really to have some independence and to create accountability for other areas in our state government, including the governor, which is, you alluded, Jason, earlier to the idea of maybe having the Attorney General be an appointed position. And it's not one that I really think is a good policy. I like the idea of accountability. And I think that, you know, when the public at large has a chance to vote for an elected official, that's the best accountability measure. And so anyway, you just alluded to that because that was one of those things that has come up pretty regularly. And I feel pretty strongly about the fact that, you know, if I'm elected, you know, I'm accountable to the people of Utah. And that's why the direct election by our citizens makes a lot of sense.
Sure. This is, and my hat's off to anyone who runs for this, but also, some personal lobbying on my part. There's some staff members there in the Attorney General's office. If you're elected, don't clean house. There's some great people there. But I bring that up.
Hey,
sorry, go ahead.
There are amazing. No, there are amazing people there, and most people don't actually know.
Sure.
What the Attorney General's office does. I mean, they hear some of the bigger sort of criminal issues that are prosecuted, but it is 500 plus people. I think 526 people currently, and these are amazing people, attorneys and staff members who support them and investigators, and they do great work. And they are the largest law firm in the state of Utah, and they're the law firm for the state of Utah, right? I mean, that's really what they do is they have, I mean, I'm an attorney and I have lots of clients and lots of companies that hire me, but the law firm for the state has one client. And so, yeah, you're right about the whole, cleaning house. I think there's a lot of amazing people there.
Sure. That is, and I'm biased, of course, towards current chief of staff there. He's made it so easy to book guests here on the show. But that's why I bring that up is that I've found the Attorney General's office to be extremely accessible. But some of these unfortunate headlines and having it happen so many times in a row, there's obviously a cloud there. So if elected, Derek, what would you do to restore confidence for those who have lost it in the office itself? Would it be an easy thing to do?
Well, I think what I'd have to do is look from sort of top to bottom. What is it that we can do to create transparency, accountability, and run the office in a way where it is a place that people enjoy working and where they have the resources that they need? Because that's the other thing that I think that the chief of staff you referenced understands is that the office doesn't just sort of magically fund itself.
Sure.
The Attorney General needs to spend time working with and lobbying with the legislature to get the funding that they need to support the investigations and the prosecutions and, all of the stuff that office does. And so, I mean, I will undertake a thorough review from top to bottom and see what it is that we can do. And if there are changes that need to be made, do that. I mean, there's an audit that's going on, and you've obviously, seen that and know that the legislature is sort of digging into the nuts and bolts of how is that office governed and organized, and what are the policies and procedures and the culture. And I expect that audit will yield a lot of pretty helpful information that the next person that's in that office can use in terms of making decisions, making changes, and that sort of thing.
And Derek, you obviously have or you wouldn't run. You obviously have the qualifications and the resume for this job to be an attorney general of a state. But you also have some experience, and I mean no disrespect to any of your predecessors as chair of the Republican Party there for a time, but you have some experience there in that role in doing a bit of cleanup and restoration of faith, right?
Well, and that was one of the reasons I ran to be the Republican Party chair.
I remember you telling us that.
Yeah, there was a rough time, and it had gone through a rough couple of years, and my job was to, as I saw it, to get in, to serve, to clean things from a party standpoint, and to really change everything from morale to perception, and then after serving and stepping up, to just step out.
Sure.
And I think that's the way public service ought to be. I mean, and I've done this when I was in the House of Representatives. I did this for the party. I did this when I was Senator Lee's deputy chief of staff. As I got in, I stepped up, I served, and then I stepped out. And I think that's the way our system should work, is that none of these things should be careers. I mean, hold me to that, as well. I mean, this is not something that should be a career. It should be an opportunity to serve the people of Utah for a period of time, and then to move back to the private sector and have someone else step up.
Sure. This is, And you said in an interview with the Salt Lake Tribune that was published just today that you feel this is too critical of a time for Utah in general, but specifically the Attorney General's office to not have a strong voice, considering what's going on at the federal level and the role Attorney Generals from the states play in some of those debates. You said now is not a time to have things be kind of unfocused and hectic, right?
Well, and the way I look at it, we have this check and balance. I mean, everybody knows it at the federal level, but the check and balance between the federal government and the state of Utah is that 10th Amendment tension where the state can push back. And the person that gets to push back on behalf of the state is the Attorney General. And so, I think it takes concerted effort and focus to identify those areas where the federal government is overstepping its bounds, and then to focus on those efforts. And so that's one of the things that, particularly when we have someone in the White House like we have now, the federal government is much more prone to deliberately stepping on our toes, so to speak, than, someone else from a different party. And so that's one of the reasons I think this is a critical time to have someone who is laser focused on that issue.
And your message is already getting some pretty big name endorsers. In fact, this one surprised me, Derek, because I know he is not prone to endorsements. In fact, he's kind of doing his thing with his institute there at Utah Valley University and trying to stay out of the spotlight. But you come out swinging with an endorsement from former Governor Gary Herbert.
And it's one that I certainly appreciate. And I've been asked, what does it mean? And the reality is when you run a campaign, your main goal is to build a coalition of people who support you and think that you're the person that can solve the issue that needs to be solved. And I think, and I appreciate, the former governor's endorsement because he's basically saying, look, there's a lot of things going on and Derek is the person, that can sort of address them. And he certainly knows, having been the governor for so many years and having worked with multiple attorneys general in that office. And so anyway, it's a nice it's a nice endorsement to have, and I'm having other people that are starting to rally as well based on that. So I certainly appreciate that.
You can connect with Derek Brown's campaign for Attorney General via a couple different ways: the website and Facebook page for the campaign. I've linked to both on our own Facebook page, and you can simply search Derek Brown for Utah Attorney General. And, of course, this race will be playing out in two different ways. The statewide GOP convention, where delegates will have their vote for the convention nominee, and then there will be a balloted primary that plays out in June as well. I'm not sure if this race will go to that. This race is a little tighter, fewer candidates, but Derek Brown, former statewide GOP chairman and now candidate for Utah Attorney General to replace Attorney General Sean Reyes, who has said, due to the scandals around his office and his ties to Tim Ballard, he will not seek re-election this year. Will hang up his hat as Attorney General after several years when this term expires at the end of this year. So, again, if you'd like to know more about Derek Brown, I've linked to his campaign documents and website on our Facebook page, or you can simply search Derek Brown, D-E-R-E-K, Derek Brown for Attorney General Utah. You'll find several things there, and he is going to be in town next week, so we'll keep you posted when we have a date on that. More of For the People right after this.
Living room, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchen, family room, laundry room, mudrooms, and more. Deciding what flooring goes best in each room of your home can be a decision fiasco. Hart Floor Company helps people just like you make those decisions every day. Whether you're building or remodeling, Hart Floor Company will show you ideas with stunning designs and sensible solutions to fit your lifestyle. Whether it's carpet, vinyl, tile, LVT, or hardwood, make sure you visit Hart Floor Company at 390 North 10th West in Logan.
Hey business owners, are you frustrated with your workers' comp rates? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we work with multiple carriers and will give you options. Our experienced agents are ready to answer your questions and help you navigate these options. Let us help you find the workers' comp policy that's right for your business. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Imagine a generation.
A generation of respect.
Of acceptance. Of diversity.
Special Olympics athletes are leading a revolution of inclusion.
If inclusion is your thing, let us know.
Sign the Inclusion Pledge at jointherevolution.org.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. As promised, trying to wrap up every show on a lighter note, send everybody on their way into their evening with something to laugh about, something pleasant to think about. My small contribution here to improving the tone as we head into what is sure to be another ugly presidential election year. Hopefully the campaigns here in Utah go better and are nicer, or at least more informative, but we'll see. I'd never heard this term before. It ran across, it was a headline from Associated Press, moodus noises, M-O-O-D-U-S, moodus noises. And how can you not click on a story with this headline? Small earthquakes and moodus noises are nothing new for this Connecticut town. I had never heard this before, but apparently this is also not like breaking news. This is something that scientists have known about for over 100 years. And the town is East Hampton. It's in a small town in central Connecticut. And moodus noises are basically like a sonic boom. It comes with a short jolt and a loud popping sound like a sonic boom. And residents say you can actually feel it. It vibrates the earth a little bit. And again, apparently this has been happening in this this small Connecticut town of East Hampton, and a nearby village actually named Moodus, thus the name Moodus Noises. Scientists think this has been happening for centuries. They have documented evidence of this that is 100 years old, and some that they believe is 150 years old, but they have an actual recorded small earthquake followed by a moodus noise from May 16th, 1791, and a news story that goes along with it about some stone walls and chimneys that were knocked down by the small earthquake. But what's interesting about this, now these are like 1.7 magnitude earthquakes, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. But what's intriguing about this is they're frequent enough that the federal government worried about the effect of, this constant seismic activity on, so nearby there's a decommissioned nuclear power plant called the Haddam Neck Nuclear Plant. And so they actually, in the 80s, constructed a study of the moodus noises because there was fear of, a lot of times, frequent seismic activity can be a harbinger of something bigger to come. But what's interesting about this, what's been happening in East Hampton and the nearby village of Moodus in central Connecticut, is the something bigger has never come. They experience these 1 to 1.7, 1.6, 1.9 was the highest ever recorded earthquakes, these tectonic shifts, on a regular basis, multiple times a year for what is believed to be centuries. Scientists believe the cause of this is a network of underground fractures and hollow areas that serve as sort of sound horns. So when the little fracture moves, when the shift happens between the plates and the earth moves, these big hollow areas serve as giant sound horns, and the crunching and popping noises that come with every earthquake then become like this big sonic boom that you can actually hear and feel. But they also believe that there is little danger of a big quake. They call these rift faults, and they, they're not new or out of the ordinary at all. What's unique in Moodus, the village, and East Hampton, the small town in central Connecticut, is, again, their frequency. The stress, scientists say, of these crunching and butting up plates, and they slip once in a while. It leads to these occasional bangs and these small quakes. But again, the hollow areas in the earth below the town are causing it to reverberate like a big sonic boom. It's so the village, and it's named Moodus. So Moodus noises is short for Macamoodus or Macamoodus. It means a place of bad noises, and that comes from Algonquin tribes, and they in one of their dialects, Macamoodus is just shortened to Moodus. And there's a local high school that has even nicknamed their teams. Their mascot and their the teams are nicknamed the Noises in honor of the history. It's kind of fascinating, but the story at Associated Press is about how the locals have just adjusted. An earth science professor at the University of Connecticut said the booms and rumblings and rattlings that have been recorded in East Hampton and Moodus, the village nearby, date back centuries, and they don't necessarily mean there was a larger earthquake, although the largest one at 1.9 did knock down those stone walls and chimneys in 1791. They believe that the structure below the town is there's never going to be a big shift leading to a massive earthquake, but they believe that the 1 to 1.7, 1.9 tiny earthquakes and the booming Moodus noises could go on forever. But read the story, because the anecdotes from residents about how they've just adjusted to this and how locals don't even react when the boom happens, just good for a laugh and kind of puts in perspective some of the things you deal with in your own local town that you've just learned to accept and put up with. At least it's not perpetual earthquakes and sonic booms populating your day several times a year. Check it out. There are also some great photos of how residents have had fun with this, and the high school football team with the mascot, the Noises. And they even have an actual mascot. I don't know how they came up with this, but it's a giant boombox. So check it out. Link on our Facebook page. That's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Join us tomorrow. We'll be visiting with county auditor candidates here on the show. That's tomorrow on For the People. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
Breaking news and stimulating talk.
America is ours.
KVNU Logan, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.